The flashbulbs exploded around us like fireworks gone wrong as Gabriel yanked his hand from mine on the podium. "I don't know this man," he declared into the microphone, his voice steady and cold, sending a knife through my chest while the crowd gasped in unison. "My name is Lincoln," and in that single moment, the 3 years I had spent loving Gabriel in the shadows of New York City crumbled into dust. The event was supposed to be his big break, a press conference for his promotion to partner at the prestigious law firm downtown, but it turned into my personal nightmare. Reporters shouted questions, cameras zoomed in, and I stood frozen in my tailored charcoal suit, the one Gabriel had helped me pick out just 2 weeks earlier for this exact night. His eyes, those deep brown eyes that had once looked at me with nothing but promise, now scanned the room as if I were a stranger who had wandered onto the wrong stage. I wanted to scream, to grab the mic and tell everyone the truth, but my throat closed up. 3 years of late-night talks in my Brooklyn apartment, whispered vows during stolen weekends in the Hamptons, and quiet mornings where he would trace the line of my jaw and say, "One day soon, Lincoln. When the timing is right, I'll come out, and we won't have to hide anymore." Those words echoed in my head now, mocking me under the harsh lights of the ballroom. Gabriel's boss clapped him on the back, praising his dedication to the firm and his impeccable image, while Gabriel smiled that polished, professional smile I had grown to hate in public settings. I turned and pushed through the crowd, the scent of expensive cologne and champagne choking me as I stumbled out into the cool Manhattan night. It all started 3 years ago on a rainy afternoon in a little coffee shop in Soho. I was 28, a freelance graphic designer with a small studio apartment and a circle of friends who knew exactly who I was. I sat by the window sketching logos for a new client when the door chimed, and in walked Gabriel, shaking rain from his dark hair and adjusting the collar of his crisp white shirt. He was 30, tall with broad shoulders that filled out his suit perfectly, and when our eyes met over the steam of my latte, something electric passed between us. He ordered an espresso, hesitated, then asked if the seat across from me was taken. We talked for hours that day about everything and nothing, art and law, the chaos of New York traffic, and the dreams we both carried. By the time the rain stopped, I knew I was already falling. Our first real date was a secret picnic in Central Park at dusk, away from prying eyes. Gabriel was careful, always glancing over his shoulder, explaining that his family back in Texas still sent him Bible verses every Sunday, and that his firm valued traditional values in their rising stars. But in those private moments, he was mine completely, laughing at my bad jokes, holding my hand under the blanket, promising that his love for me was real and that he just needed time. "I see a future with you, Lincoln," he would say, his voice soft against my ear. "I just have to build the foundation first." I believed him because the way he looked at me made the wait feel worth it. My best friend Marcus warned me over beers one night. "Closeted guys break hearts, man. Don't invest everything." But I waved it off, convinced our connection was different. Months turned into a year, and the secrecy became our rhythm. We met in out-of-the-way places, texted in code, and celebrated small victories like the night Gabriel got his first big case win and we toasted with cheap wine on my rooftop. He introduced me to no one, but I introduced him to my world slowly, to Marcus and a few trusted friends who promised discretion. The pressure built quietly at first. Gabriel's mother called weekly, asking when he would settle down with a nice girl and give her grandkids. He would hang up and pull me close, whispering apologies and more promises. "Soon," he always said. I swear, I started to feel the weight of those words, but love made me patient. Then came the misunderstandings that chipped away at my trust. One evening I saw him at a charity gala with a woman on his arm, laughing too loudly for my comfort. It was his colleague Sarah, he explained later in a frantic text, but the seed of doubt was planted. Another time he canceled our plans last minute because family obligations came up, and I spent the night pacing my apartment wondering if I was just a secret he kept on the side. Still, every time he showed up at my door with flowers or that tired smile after a long day at the firm, I forgave. The love was there, raw and real, in the way he memorized my coffee order and remembered the anniversary of the day we met. As the promotion loomed, Gabriel grew distant. He talked about the partners watching his every move, about how coming out now could derail everything he had worked for. I pushed gently, reminding him that life was too short for hiding, but he would kiss me and change the subject. The night before the press conference, he held me tighter than usual. After this, Lincoln, I promise, we'll tell the world. I believed him one last time. Now, standing on the sidewalk outside the venue, rain starting to fall again like it had the day we met, I pulled out my phone and deleted the last message he had sent me that morning. Tonight changes everything. I love you. The words felt hollow now, and the city lights blurred through my tears. The days after the denial blurred into a haze of unanswered calls and empty nights. I threw myself into work, designing logos for clients who had no idea their graphic artist was nursing a broken heart the size of Manhattan. Marcus dragged me out for drinks at our usual spot in Williamsburg, listening as I replayed every promise Gabriel had ever made. He looked me in the eye and said he didn't know me. I told him, voice cracking over the noise of the bar. Marcus nodded, his hand on my shoulder. You deserve someone who shouts your name from the rooftops, not hides it in the basement. I knew he was right, but letting go felt impossible. Gabriel had become part of my identity, the man who made me believe love could conquer the fears we both carried. Gabriel didn't reach out for a full week. Then came the text at midnight. Can we talk? Please. I stared at the screen for hours before replying with a single word. Why? His response was immediate. I panicked. The partners were there. My family was watching the live stream. It wasn't supposed to happen like that. We met at a quiet diner in Queens the next evening, far from anyone who might recognize him. He looked exhausted, dark circles under his eyes, his usually perfect hair disheveled. When he reached for my hand across the table, I pulled back. You denied me, Gabriel. In front of the entire city. How do I come back from that? His voice broke as he explained the pressure, the way his father had called right after the event demanding to know who the random guy was on stage. I froze, Lincoln. I thought if I just said it wasn't real, everything would stay safe. But it killed me to see your face. We talked for hours that night, the kind of raw conversation that peeled back layers we had never touched before. He admitted the fear wasn't just about his career or family anymore. It was about losing the version of himself he had built to survive in their world. I shared how the secrecy had started eating at me, how every canceled plan and hidden kiss left me questioning my worth. By the end, we left the diner holding hands in the dark, a fragile truce. I want to try again, he said. But I need time to figure out how to fix this without blowing up my life. I agreed because the alternative, walking away completely, felt like losing a piece of my soul. Life resumed its uneasy rhythm. We saw each other in secret again, but something had shifted. Gabriel started therapy, a quiet step he took after I suggested it one night when he couldn't sleep. He opened up about his childhood in a small Texas town where being different meant isolation or worse. His parents' expectations weighed on him like concrete, and the firm culture rewarded conformity. I supported him through it, cooking meals in my tiny kitchen and listening without judgment. Marcus remained skeptical, warning me during a weekend hike in the Catskills that secrets always surface eventually. Just protect yourself, Lincoln. You've already given him 3 years. The first crack appeared 2 months later when a blurry photo of us leaving the diner surfaced on a gossip blog. Nothing explicit, just 2 men talking intently, but the caption speculated about Gabriel's mysterious companion at the promotion event. His phone blew up. He called me in a panic from his office. We need to lay low. The partners are asking questions. I felt the old frustration rise. Lay low? That's all we ever do. The argument that followed was our worst yet. Voices raised over the phone until he hung up. Days passed in silence again, and I wondered if the photo had been the final push he needed to run. When he showed up at my door unannounced with takeout and apologies, I let him in. We ate in silence at first, then talked until sunrise. He promised once more that he was working on a plan, that therapy was helping him see the cost of hiding. I wanted to believe him, but the doubt lingered like a shadow. Our relationship deepened in those quiet moments, filled with honest conversations about the future we both craved, yet the world outside kept pressing in. Gabriel's mother announced a surprise visit to New York, forcing him to cancel our weekend plans. I spent the time alone, sketching portraits of him from memory, each line a reminder of the man I loved and the walls he still hid behind. The tension built slowly, like a storm gathering over the skyline. I started noticing small changes in Gabriel, little acts of courage. He held my hand longer during our walks in empty parks, texted me during work hours despite the risk. But the fear remained, and I could feel it in the way he scanned every room we entered together. My friends noticed the strain too. During a group dinner in my apartment, Marcus pulled me aside. He's trying, but trying isn't enough forever. I nodded, knowing deep down that the next misunderstanding could break us for good. Gabriel's mother arrived like a force of nature, booking a suite at a midtown hotel and expecting her son to escort her to every cultural landmark. He canceled 3 of our dates in a row, each excuse more elaborate than the last. I tried to be understanding, sending supportive texts and focusing on a big deadline for a branding project. But the loneliness crept in, amplified by the memory of his denial still fresh in my mind. One night, I drove past his office building just to see if the lights were on, feeling foolish and desperate. When he finally called, his voice was tight. "She's asking about my personal life again." I told her I'm focused on work. The lie stung, but I swallowed it. We stole an afternoon together at the Museum of Modern Art, blending into the crowds of tourists. Gabriel relaxed there, away from familiar faces, his arm brushing mine as we stood before a massive abstract painting. "This is what I want," he whispered. "A life where I can stand beside you without looking over my shoulder." His words reignited the hope I had been guarding carefully. That evening back at my place, we cooked pasta and talked about coming out on his terms, maybe starting with a close colleague or a low-key social media post. He seemed committed, and for the first time in weeks, the future felt possible. The misunderstanding hit like a freight train the following weekend. I was at a gallery opening with Marcus when I spotted Gabriel across the room, deep in conversation with a woman I didn't recognize. They laughed easily, her hand on his arm, and something in me snapped. I left without approaching, texting him later that night, "Saw you tonight." Guess the plan changed. His reply came fast. "That's my cousin visiting from Texas." "Lincoln, please don't do this." Relief mixed with embarrassment flooded me, but the damage was done. We met the next day in a quiet cafe, where he explained his family's web of relatives always dropping in unannounced. "I hate that you doubt me now," he said, eyes full of hurt. I apologized, but the incident exposed how fragile our trust had become. Gabriel doubled down on his efforts after that. He started seeing his therapist twice a week, and even mentioned the possibility of telling his mother during her visit. I supported him quietly, designing a simple logo for his personal side project as a gesture of faith. Our nights together grew more tender, filled with conversations about moving in together one day, about traveling to places where no one knew us. Yet the societal pressure never let up. News stories about LGBTQ rights in the workplace filled my feeds, each one a reminder of what Gabriel risked. His firm hosted a diversity seminar that he attended but never spoke at, coming home frustrated and silent. The turning point arrived unexpectedly during a summer heatwave. Gabriel's boss invited him to a private dinner at a Hamptons estate, the kind of event where careers were made or broken. He asked me to come as his friend from college, a compromise that tasted bitter but felt like progress. I agreed, packing an overnight bag with more hope than I had felt in months. The drive out was tense, Gabriel gripping the wheel and rehearsing small talk. At the estate, surrounded by partners and their spouses, I played the role perfectly, laughing at jokes and staying in the background. But when one partner asked about Gabriel's personal life, the hesitation in his answer cut deep. "Single and focused," he said with a forced smile. I excused myself to the garden, the ocean breeze doing nothing to cool the anger rising inside me. He found me there later, pulling me behind a hedge for a stolen kiss. "I'm sorry," he murmured. Old habits. We talked long into the night back at our rented room, his promises sounding more urgent than ever. "This weekend showed me I can't keep doing this. When we get back to the city, I'm telling my mother." I held him close, believing once again that we were on the edge of something real. The weekend ended with laughter and plans, but the seed of doubt from his hesitation lingered. Back in New York, life resumed, but I noticed Gabriel pulling out his phone less around me, as if preparing for the conversation he had vowed to have. The call from Gabriel's mother came sooner than expected. She had seen another blurry photo from the Hamptons event, this one catching us in the garden at a distance. Her voice on speakerphone was sharp with questions, and Gabriel froze mid-sentence in my kitchen. "It's nothing, Mom. Just networking." The lie rolled off his tongue so easily that I walked out of the room, chest tight. When he hung up, he found me on the fire escape. "I couldn't do it over the phone," he said, reaching for me. "But I will. Face to face next month when she visits again." I nodded, but inside the walls felt closer than ever. Work became my escape. I landed a major contract for a national nonprofit focused on LGBTQ youth, pouring late nights into designs that celebrated identity and courage. Gabriel cheered me on from the sidelines, bringing coffee to my studio and listening to my ideas. In those moments, our connection felt unbreakable, a quiet rebellion against the forces pulling us apart. Marcus organized a small gathering at his place, inviting a few friends who knew our story. Gabriel attended for the first time, nervous but present, laughing at stories, and even sharing one of his own about his early days in law school. It was a glimpse of the life we could have, and I clung to it. Yet the cracks widened again when an old college friend of Gabriel's reached out on social media, posting throwback photos that included a group shot with Gabriel and a former girlfriend. Comments flooded in, speculating about his past. Gabriel panicked, deleting the tag and calling me in distress. "People are asking questions at the firm now." We argued for the first time in weeks, my frustration boiling over. "Every time something gets close to the surface, you retreat. When does it stop?" He left my apartment that night without another word, and the silence that followed was heavier than any before. 3 days later, he returned with a small box. Inside was a key to his apartment, a symbol he had resisted for years. "Move in with me," he said simply. "Not publicly, but it's a start." I accepted, and we spent the weekend packing my things into boxes, the physical act of merging lives feeling like a step toward the future he kept promising. Living together brought new intimacy, shared mornings and quiet evenings where we talked about everything except the one thing that still loomed. Gabriel's therapy sessions became routine, and he started journaling, sharing snippets with me that revealed the depth of his internal battle. The secret life we built in his sleek Upper East Side apartment was comfortable but incomplete. Neighbors waved politely, assuming we were roommates. Gabriel's mother called more frequently, her visits looming like a deadline. I encouraged him gently, planning small ways he could ease into the conversation. Then came the night everything shifted. A mutual friend from the gallery scene recognized us at a low-key dinner and posted a friendly group photo online without thinking. The caption was innocent, but the comments exploded with speculation about Gabriel's close male friend. His phone rang nonstop the next morning, partners and family demanding explanations. Gabriel paced the apartment, face pale. "This is it, Lincoln. The moment I can't control." I stood beside him, heart pounding, ready to face it together. But when the first call from his boss came through, he stepped into the other room and closed the door. The muffled conversation lasted 20 minutes, and when he emerged, his expression was resigned. I told him it was nothing. Just a friend. The words hit like the denial all over again, and I felt the floor drop beneath me. I packed a bag that night, while Gabriel watched helplessly from the doorway. "Please don't go," he pleaded, but the hurt had turned to resolve in my chest. "You had your chance, and you chose the closet again. I can't keep waiting." The drive back to Brooklyn felt endless, city lights streaking past like accusations. Marcus let me crash on his couch, no questions asked, just a quiet understanding that I had reached my limit. Days turned into weeks of radio silence from Gabriel. I threw myself into the nonprofit project, channeling every emotion into vibrant designs that spoke of freedom and truth. Clients praised the work, unaware it was born from pain. Gabriel's attempts to reach out started small, texts that went unanswered, then voicemails filled with apologies and progress reports from therapy. "I'm seeing a new counselor who specializes in this. I'm working on telling my family." I listened to each one late at night, torn between love and self-preservation. My friends rallied around me, organizing outings to distract from the ache. During a hike upstate, Marcus finally voiced what I knew deep down. "You gave him everything. Now it's time to give yourself the same grace." The words settled like a weight lifted, and for the first time, I considered a life without him. Then the big turning point arrived without warning. Gabriel's firm faced a public scandal involving discriminatory practices, and the media turned its lens on rising partners like him. In an interview he hadn't prepared for, a reporter asked directly about his personal life and the rumored companion from earlier photos. Gabriel paused on camera, the silence stretching painfully. This time he didn't deny. "I'm still figuring things out," he said softly. "But I have someone important in my life who deserves better than my fear." The clip went viral within hours. My phone lit up with notifications, friends sending the link with excited messages. I watched it alone in my studio, tears streaming as the man I loved finally cracked the door open on national television. Gabriel called immediately after. "I did it for you. For us." We met at our old coffee shop the next day, the same place we had first connected. He looked different, lighter somehow, the weight of years starting to lift. We talked for hours, piecing together the damage and the hope. He had confronted his mother that morning via video call, the conversation raw and tear-filled but honest. She was shocked, but listening, a small victory in a long battle. Moving forward wasn't easy. Gabriel faced awkward conversations at the firm, some partners distancing themselves while others offered quiet support. His family back in Texas sent mixed messages, but he stood firm. I moved back into his apartment slowly, one box at a time, rebuilding trust with open conversations and couples counseling. The misunderstandings that once tore us apart became lessons in communication. We attended my nonprofit's launch event together publicly for the first time, hands linked without shame. The applause from the crowd felt like validation for every hidden moment we had endured. Yet the journey tested us still. Gabriel's father flew in for a tense weekend, demanding answers and testing boundaries. We navigated it together, my presence a quiet strength beside him. Sacrifices emerged naturally. Gabriel turned down a high-profile case that required too much travel, choosing instead to prioritize our life. I supported his decision to speak at a local LGBTQ support group, watching with pride as he shared his story for the first time. The growth was palpable, each day revealing new layers of the men we were becoming. The months that followed brought a quiet revolution in our lives. We traveled to California for a weekend getaway, walking hand in hand on beaches where no one knew our history. Gabriel posted our first public photo on his social media, a simple shot of us at sunset with the caption, "Grateful for the man who waited." The responses poured in, a mix of support and surprise, but the love in his eyes when he showed me the comments made every risk worthwhile. Back in New York, we hosted our first joint dinner party, inviting friends from both worlds. Marcus raised a toast to second chances, and for the first time, Gabriel laughed without glancing over his shoulder. Challenges lingered, of course. Gabriel's family dynamics evolved slowly, with his mother visiting and tentatively including me in conversations. His father remained distant, but the door stayed open. At the firm, Gabriel advocated for better diversity policies, turning his past fear into action. I continued my design work, now with a focus on campaigns that celebrated authentic living. Our relationship deepened through shared routines and honest check-ins, the kind of partnership I had always dreamed of. Late nights on the couch, planning a future that included maybe adopting a dog or buying a place upstate, felt real and earned. The ultimate test came during a family reunion in Texas. Gabriel insisted I join him, facing the relatives who had shaped his hiding. The weekend was filled with awkward questions and meaningful talks, but by the end, his aunt hugged me goodbye with genuine warmth. On the flight home, Gabriel squeezed my hand. "I couldn't have done any of this without you." The words healed old wounds, reminding me that love's journey includes the pain that forges strength. We returned to New York stronger, our bond no longer a secret but a source of pride. Looking back at the denial that started it all, I saw it not as an ending but as the catalyst for real change. Gabriel had grown into the man who chose truth over comfort, and I had learned to value my own worth enough to walk away when needed. Our story became one of resilience, the kind that inspires quiet hope in others facing similar paths. Friends asked for advice, and we shared openly, turning personal struggle into quiet advocacy. The city that once felt confining now symbolized possibility, its lights a backdrop to the life we built together. Through every misunderstanding and revelation, We discovered that acceptance starts within and ripples outward. Gabriel's sacrifices, like stepping back from certain opportunities to prioritize us, mirrored my patience and forgiveness. The truth we faced together reshaped us both, proving that love survives when both partners commit to growth. As we sat on our rooftop one clear evening, watching the skyline, Gabriel turned to me with that familiar smile. Thank you for believing even when I didn't. In that moment, the journey felt complete, yet full of new beginnings. True or false, public denial can ever be forgiven in the name of love.